Welcome back everyone, this is going to be my new Thor Love and Thunder video. Chris Hemsworth and Taika Waititi released another first look for the movie Thor Would Like You to Buy 2 Tickets to the Gun Show. There's a whole bunch of Easter eggs in this. There's so much stuff going on in this scene that they drop, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We're getting ready for Loki episodes next week. I'll be doing videos for all those, so I'll be doing that Disney Plus giveaway for memberships and all my Marvel videos. All you have to do to enter that is be a subscriber and let me know what your favorite Easter egg from this new first look is. But if you have no idea what's going on, why they're releasing this now, they just celebrated finishing filming on the movie. Now, they still have all the post-production and visual effects to finish. There'll probably be some reshoots later this year, but mostly they're done filming the movie. The movie's coming out May next year, and it's meant to be like their big Avengers 4.5 movie, like in the way that Captain America Civil War was kind of Avengers 2.5 because there was so much big stuff going on and so many big Avengers crossovers. That's what they're doing with Thor Love and Thunder during Marvel Phase 4. Because it's going to be a long time before we see Avengers 5. So like Thor Love and Thunder is the next big Avengers level movie they're doing next to Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. And interestingly enough, that's the big Marvel movie that's coming out right before Thor Love and Thunder. So early next year is going to be crazy in the Marvel universe. But as you can see here, this is the most jacked that Chris Hemsworth has ever been, the most powerful version of Thor. They sort of explain. This is they very purposefully wanted to do the biggest, baddest version of Thor that they'd ever done because of what they're doing with Gorr the God Butcher and Christian Bale in the movie. But zoom and enhance, let's talk about all these Easter eggs. I'll break them all down in no particular order, but I'll number these as we go along just to stay organized. So first things first, the actual scene is happening, as you may have all guessed, inside the Guardians of the Galaxy ship, the Benatar. I can't wait for Drax to show up in the movie like he's the president of the Thor fan club. It's like a pirate had a baby with an angel. Technically, Odin does look kind of like a pirate with his one eye, and Frigga does have a very angelic personality. But even though this is the last scene that they filmed, it's probably taking place earlier in the movie. The Guardians were already spotted on set. I've already done a bunch of videos about that. Star-Lord had a brand new costume and a different haircut. All the Guardians have new costumes. His new costume looks a little bit more like he's wearing Yondu's old jacket, but they've tweaked it a little, added some more highlights and details all over it. Like notice the sleeves and the metal pieces here, like the gold pieces. Yondu didn't have any of that on his jacket. The designs and patterns look a little bit like they're inspired by the designs on Ego the Living Planet's humanoid costume when he was walking around, as if Peter Quill is slowly making peace with who he is and who his father was. You have to remember that there wasn't a whole lot of time that went by between the events of Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame for a lot of these characters. Peter Quill also got snapped, so it wasn't like he was dealing with his trauma that he experienced in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 with his father during that 5-year time jump. I literally just got done doing a big video about how Thanos is connected to the Eternals characters during that movie, and I talked about the role the Celestials play in the MCU during that. Ego the Living Planet, for example, is a Celestial in the MCU. He's not in the comics, they just changed it for the movies. But Peter Quill, even though he doesn't have all his celestial powers anymore, still does have his celestial DNA. So he still technically can call himself a god with a little g. So that also kind of plays into the idea of the Gorr the God Butcher storyline, with him going around killing everyone that is a god or that is calling themselves a god. There were a lot of other Thor Love and Thunder scenes that released earlier this year with the Guardians of the Galaxy. I did a really big video about that, so I'll post a link for it in the description below. The movie's going to feature pretty much every single Guardians of the Galaxy character from Avengers Endgame, except for the younger version of Gamora, because she kind of took off at the end of the movie and they're chasing after her. All of them have slightly upgraded costumes and looks just to denote how much time has gone by since the end of Endgame. I believe it's only supposed to have been about a year or so, but the events of Thor Love and Thunder are supposed to take place after the events of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Clearly it's been long enough for Thor to spend some time on Star-Lord's Bowflex. Make all the leg day jokes you want. Chris Hemsworth does have really big legs. It's just you can't see them underneath his jeans, so it looks like he has tiny legs. He posts all those crazy workout videos that he does all the time, and he's also doing a Hulk Hogan movie after this, so he has to be extra jacked for that. So that's another reason why he got so big for Thor Love and Thunder. I think the even funnier thing here too is you have Chris Pratt commenting on how big Thor is getting. Like, please dude, my trainer told me to ask you, please stop working out. You're getting way too big. But as you guessed, this is just a scene of Thor and Korg together. Taika is wearing the same motion capture rig that he wore in Avengers Endgame and Thor Ragnarok because Korg is so much taller than Thor. But you also probably noticed that Korg does have a new costume. He got upgrades too. It's a little more inspired by the indigenous designs from New Zealand and Australia that you saw during Thor Ragnarok. He was really vocal about how he blended a lot of the classic Jack Kirby designs with Aboriginal-inspired designs for characters on Sakaar in Thor Ragnarok, but Korg's costume now just looks like it got a huge upgrade in terms of complexity and Easter eggs. The belt that he's wearing has that giant ram's head on it. It's meant to be a reference to Thor's two rams from the comics, which are featured in the movie Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder. They're not actual rams like rams from planet Earth. They're advanced beings that just resemble rams, like Asgardian rams, but in the comics, they're actually based on Norse mythology. Thor mostly uses them to travel around in space when he doesn't use the Bifrost. They can fly him through the vacuum of space, just like a small personal spacecraft. They're heavily featured during the Mighty Thor era in the comics when he was unworthy Thor and didn't have Mjolnir. He just used the ghost to travel around. We've seen a lot of pictures of them filming scenes with the goats inside New Asgard when Thor comes back during the movie, before things go totally off the rails with Gorr the God Butcher. This is also meant to be a version of Meek, if you can believe it. The human woman dressed like this office worker in a suit is actually meant to be a stand-in for Meek in the film because he's a special effect character. Meek is supposed to get himself this mechanical body that allows her to walk around, and Meek identifies as female if you didn't realize. Obviously that wasn't really relevant during Thor Ragnarok, but they're getting deeper on all the characters now, so you just learn more about each of them. Even though Meek's species doesn't really have gender in the same way that humanoids do. Then just talking about Thor's new costume, obviously there's so much stuff going on here. As you probably guessed, the tank top he's wearing is designed based on Yggdrasil, the world tree in the Nine Realms. I wonder if they're selling those in the new Asgard tourist gift shop. Like, is that an actual t-shirt that you could buy if you were inside the MCU? I'm not really a big fan of tank tops, but I do like the design. The red jacket that he's got with the spikes on it is based on Eric Masterson's Thunderstrike costume from the Thor comics in the 1980s, because the whole look of the movie is going with an 80s vibe, like give me Thor, but make it Point Break for real. We also saw him in this jacket in the other scenes on Asgard earlier this year in the other videos that I did. But the jeans that he's wearing also kind of seem like they're an Asgardian custom job because you look at the stitch patterns and they have this very advanced science fiction vibe to them. Like, give me 80s looking jeans, but if they were designed by an advanced alien race like the Asgardians. And I know a lot of you are talking about this belt here. Like, you see the belt in the special buckle and you're wondering if it's meant to be Thor's magic belt that Happy referenced in Spider-Man Homecoming. That's actually called the Megan Yord. It basically doubles his strength. I do think this is meant to be a reference to that magical belt. It could just be a regular belt, but I think they took this opportunity to just do a callback to Spider-Man Homecoming. Like, remember that magic belt that we never paid off? Well, we're finally doing that. Like all Asgardian technology, it's super advanced tech interwoven with magical enchantments, but made to look like a regular piece of clothing accessory. Like, it keeps Thor's jeans from falling around his ankles, but it also gives him crazy OP powers beyond what he already has. And even though you don't see it in this scene here anywhere, he still does have Stormbreaker during the movie. We saw him holding it on set in New Asgard. If you're not familiar with the Thunderstrike version of Thor, it's a bit of a deep cut. That's what this whole look is based on. Thunderstrike was the name given to Eric Masterson when Odin gave him the powers of Thor by binding Thor's consciousness to a regular human. So Eric Masterson was just a normal human. I believe he was an architect who just wound up saving Thor's life once, and then later Odin merged Thor with him to save Thor, and after they separated, he went on to make Eric Masterson a full-blown version of Thor, calling him Thunderstrike, a fully alternate version of Thor, with his own hammer. It looked a little bit different from Mjolnir, but he had a lot of the same powers as Thor when he was wielding the hammer. He eventually joined the Thor Corps, he had big crossover adventures with Beta Ray Bill, but he was created during the 1980s, which is why his costume makes him look like the biker gang version of Thor, like the construction worker village person version of Thor. And I know a lot of you are hoping for Beta Ray Bill during the movie. There were actually deleted scenes of Beta Ray Bill from Thor Ragnarok. He was going to show up during the Contest of Champions, but Kevin Feige said it just became too much, too many things they were trying to do in the film. So they opted to take him out and just save him for a movie where they could do him justice. They also feature Beta Ray Bill's home planet during Avengers Endgame. When you first go back to 2014 and you see Gamora, Nebula, and Thanos fighting all those aliens, they're actually sacking another planet. The planet that they're attacking is the Corbinites' home planet, Corbin. This is one of them that they're fighting wearing a suit of armor, so you don't actually get to see its face. Beta Ray Bill was a genetically modified member of their race that they enhanced to protect them because Surtur had burned down their original home planet. His body was cybernetically enhanced, and that's where most of his powers come from. But also later, after he defeats Thor in combat, Odin gave him his own hammer. That was called Stormbreaker. Obviously, we've already done Stormbreaker in the MCU. But early speculation, if they do wind up doing a big version of Beta Ray Bill in the MCU, maybe Thor will eventually get a new weapon and they could have him give Stormbreaker to Beta Ray Bill and pay off that big comic book Easter egg. But as a lot of you probably guessed, the reason why they're doing such an OP version of Thor during this is, one, because it's the fourth movie and you have to escalate things, so he has to be a bigger, badder version than he was during Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, but also to make the big Gorr the God Butcher twist hit that much harder. The more powerful the god, the bigger the fall, so when Gorr does wind up handing him his ass, it makes Gorr feel like that much more dangerous. Like he's gonna be as bad, if not worse than Thanos, potentially, at least for the gods of the MCU. Gorr doesn't really care about normal people, like he's not going around killing everyone, half of all life in the universe. He's just trying to kill all the gods or people that call themselves gods. But if you spotted any other Easter eggs in this first look that I didn't talk about during the video, just write them below in the comments. There's just so much stuff going on here. I really love it when they do stuff like this. My full Loki Episode 1 video is going to post Wednesday morning, so make sure you have alerts enabled so you don't miss any of those episodes. There'll be a couple more bonus videos before then, so leave all your requests, your big questions about big Thor crossover, how the Loki series is going to connect with Thor Love and Thunder. I'll try to cover all that stuff and all the Easter eggs as we see them during the Loki episodes. And I'll name a giveaway winner when I post my next big Marvel video. Everyone click here to learn what's going on with Thanos during the Eternals movie, and click here for that other really big Thor Love and Thunder first look teaser. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys tonight.